That should be 10 times better. Yeah, see, look at that.
Oh my. Oh, I thought you were gonna go off the edge.
174 meters. Let's talk about the crash pads. An item that at least 50% of players don't even use, or have briefly discovered some of the techniques for themselves, but aren't practically using them in tournaments and cash cups as they should be. Crash pads are some of the most versatile items in the game, with options of high mobility, limited risk of being shot down, and some of the most overpowered methods for box fighting and taking out your unexpected opponents. This is an advanced breakdown guide for the crash pad. I'll be skipping over the common uses that everyone knows, and rather explaining some of the crafty tricks and tips and methods that you probably have never seen before. We also discovered an insane way for endgame rotations that literally shoot you across the map. I'll explain it later in the video, but in the meantime, let's start breaking down each use with a crash pad right now. Alright guys, here we are. I'm going to show you some different ways and methods to get into people's boxes here. This is probably the simplest one, but it's a pretty large category with a lot of different ways you can get in. But the first is pretty straightforward. You just aim your crash pad up at the upper part of the wall that you're about to jump into, rebound it off, and it'll send you right in. And you just want to keep walking forward as you do it, and it'll send you right in, right behind your unexpected opponent. Super effective, super straightforward. Don't need a whole lot. This only works if they don't have a ramp inside. You can also do it on the corner here, but you have to make sure to aim at the very top corner of it. Just walk straight in, and it'll send you right in. It's a little bit more of an awkward one, but it works, and it's still super effective. All right, now this is where things get a little bit interesting. If a player has a ramp facing where you're going to crash pad into, the ramp will actually rebound you back into your crash pad, and it'll in turn affect your momentum and just like that, rebound you right up into the sky. So if there's a ramp there inside the box, you unfortunately won't be able to do it unless you come to the edges or the back wall of the box, and it'll send you right in, breaking the ramp as well. So just make sure if your opponent puts a ramp inside the box, you're not crash padding into the side that the ramp is going up, and just go on any of the sides or the back wall, and it'll work just as fine. Alright guys, we're gonna go a level up here. Unfortunately, as easy as it is to just crash pad in from one of the sides, it's super easy to counter, as a player can just keep rotating their ramp towards where you're gonna crash pad in. They can set up for it, they can be prepared for it. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up top above the player's box and either put down a ramp or a cone on either of the sides. The cone is a little bit harder. Just make sure you put the crash pad at the lowest part of the cone, or else it won't break some things. So just make sure it's at the very lowest part that you aim for. But with anything, even the ramp, just go on the back side of the enemy's cone. Just put a ramp on the outside, and boom, just like that, you bounce right in. Breaks one of the walls as well. Super effective. Now, with this strategy, if your opponent has a ramp here, you won't be able to break the ramp unless you go to the side of the ramp. If you go face on, lengthwise of the ramp, it will not break the ramp, which is fine in some situations. You can drop right down, although your opponent can hide underneath the ramp or be able to easily get out of his box through that method. So what you want to do is make sure you put a cone or a ramp on the sides, either the left or the right, and you should be able to drop right down into your opponent's box, breaking the ramp as well that we placed underneath it. So the nice thing with this strategy is there's a lot of different ways you can actually get into your opponent's box, either from above or on the sides, but it's pretty straightforward. You don't really need that much, except maybe, you know, one or two ramps or a cone. It's pretty straightforward to set up, and just easy. Crash pad right into their boxes, super effective. I've actually been utilizing it in competitive quite a bit as of late, and honestly, it's insane just getting an advantage of your opponent, especially when they just don't expect it. They're just built up, they have full metal structures, and they don't know what's going on, and then you just break right in, and they least expect it. Oh, nice. Alright guys, now things get very interesting here. If you have an opponent in a box, You can put your marker just on the bottom side of your opponent's box as you're walking by. And if you're exactly 27 meters away, your box doesn't have to be exactly 27 meters. Just where your position has to be 27 meters. So make sure your box is within that area. And what you want to do is either just break your cones. You can actually have a free all the way look up, and if you're exactly 27 meters from your opponent's box, you can lift your crash pad all the way up straight into the sky, let it go, and it'll actually be the exact distance that it falls onto their opponent's box. It breaks the wall, and you can have some free shots on your opponent here. Now, as you do this, you want to make sure you're not 28 meters, you're not 26 meters, you're exactly 27 meters, or this will not work. So the benefit with this strategy is that when people are boxed up, especially endgame, and just sitting in their boxes, you can, if you have the opportunity, just position yourself 27 meters away, and it's incredibly effective. Just putting down your crash pad, breaks into the box, either snipe or just scar right into the enemy. Without them expecting, they cannot hear it, they cannot do anything about it. Another strategy you can do, though, is if you're exactly 27 meters, you can place your crash pad and place your own at the bottom here, and as soon as you land, it'll send you right into your opponent's box.
Like, what? You literally don't even get time to react.
Now, as things are getting a little bit more advanced here, if you build a bit of a tower, it doesn't have to be a specific height at all, but whatever height you choose, you can actually set up a bit of a launch pad tower here that is super effective. And I'll show you guys how to set this up. Basically, you just need a box, just a cone above you, and just a floor just a tile away above. Because what you want to do is edit the cone just like this, stand kind of back and rebound your crash pad off the kind of topish, middle-ish. You don't want it to have too far or too close, because then it doesn't really work. But what you'd want to do is just rebound the crash pad just like this. Make sure it's not over too much or back too far where it won't work. And then just reset your cone and just have one edit to the left. I believe you can do the right, yeah, left or right here. And you just want to place a launch pad here. Now, you need a launch pad and a crash pad for this, but it's super effective because it allows you to rotate super far, super fast, without having to redeploy your glider, and you can shoot with it, and you can build. And the fact that it just goes so fast is insane. So I'll just show you here, guys. Make sure you hit semi in the middle. Kind of just go straight into it. If you go too much to the side, it won't really work. You'll kind of just fly and just launch to the side. So make sure you're semi just walking straight forward.
It was at this moment that he knew.
Alright, guys, once you have your crash pad and launch pad set up, just make sure you're jumping towards more of the middle of the launch pad, because I've realized that if you jump too much to the back side of the launch pad, it won't actually work, and you'll kind of just fly right over the crash pad. So just make sure it's well placed, and make sure you're jumping into the middle, go like that, and bam, shoot you right off to the side. So this strategy of having both a launch pad and a crash pad and utilizing your rotations endgame is super effective with this strategy, because not only can you build and can you shoot while you're doing it, but you're rarely going to get shot at because of how fast you're going through the sky. I think Cam and I tested, I believe you can go up to about 200 meters, depending on how high your tower is. The higher your tower is, the further you will go. So it's super effective, but you can even do it at the lowest point or the highest point, wherever you want to do it. Either way, you fly through the sky and you go fast. And there you have it, guys, a more advanced guide of tips and tricks for the crash pad. I know a lot of people have been showing methods of getting into people's boxes. I know that's a bit of a popular thing at the moment, but I still find that 50 to 80% of the players that I verse, that I play with, that I see online, don't use the crash pads that effectively. I've literally been using it the past 2 to 3 days. It has been the most mind-blowing thing ever. I cannot say this enough. It's super effective if players are running away. You can utilize them not just for rotation or for movement or for speed or catching up to someone, but you can utilize it in a lot of different situations to break their builds, trap your opponent, and to easily put yourself in a place where you can use the scroll wheel method with a charged shotgun, take out an opponent, especially with the box fighting, the crash pad into their build. That's an easy setup for one tap with the shotgun, especially the charged shotgun, where you're right there point blank in front of your opponent, and bam, that's a free elim for you. You can move on. The idea of this video is to hopefully demonstrate how powerful the crash pad actually is, and hopefully I kind of urge you guys to utilize the crash pads a little bit more in your competitive games, in your tournaments, in your cash cups and stuff like that. So maybe replace out your sniper, maybe sacrifice a med slot, carry 6 crash pads with you, because you never know when it's going to help, guys. Anyhow, if you guys want to talk to me more about this later down the line, join me in my streams. I stream most afternoons, Australian Eastern Time Zone, guys. Links are in the description down below if you want to join me. I would love to talk to you guys about all this stuff, and without further ado, guys, have a good one.
This looks so weird.
Yo, we've caught a wild cam, dude.